Well, welcome everyone to the Stoughton Public Library. My name is Josh Olshan. I'm the Adult Services Librarian, and thank you to Miss Amy Dean, our Children's Librarian, who helped me organize this. And tonight we have an exciting program for you. This is the book, Extraordinary Latinas, Volume 3, and these are some of the ladies who are portrayed in the book telling their stories. So we're going to have a candid conversation where this is Dulce's words, where we will cultivate and nurture a sense of community and belonging for Latinx during this Hispanic Heritage Month. So you're going to hear some of the stories and the inspiration from these ladies, and take it away. And here we go.
Can they took time to curse with this? They ain't so with all the
Yeah.
How they want to see Bornica, so they have questions, getting concerning to the family. So we have to make so in order to show you the value.
Okay.
This okay.
You're awesome. Okay, the green is on, so we're good. We're good. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming, especially because of the weather, but it is New England weather, right? So we know how these things go. So the fact that you're all here, we're truly, truly grateful. Thank you so much for the space. It's a beautiful space, and what better way to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month than to be with all of you here. I'm Ileana Rojas Saldana. I'm one of the co-founders of United Latinas. I'm the original publisher for Extraordinary Latinas, and I'm just so thrilled and excited to be here. And I'm excited to share the space. I was going to say the table, but it's really the space with some of our extraordinary authors. We have almost 50 extraordinary Latina authors in this 3 series, and we're in the process of writing book 4 or volume 4. So it's very exciting. But I want to kick off this conversation with just telling you a little bit of how it started and what the vision is moving forward. So I'm a chemical engineer. So for me, numbers, processes, systems, that's what works. That's how my brain works. Writing, not my thing. Never. I was like, yeah, that's for somebody else. That's for the experts. That's for other people, right? I did different roles in Fortune 500 companies, everything focused on processes and operations and getting things together. And then I moved out of corporate and I started to become a coach, a leadership coach. And what I do is I help others, leaders and women and Latinas, be able to overcome their challenges, their beliefs, whatever is stopping them. So in 2019, every year I've decided that I have a bold goal. And in 2019, I realized that I couldn't go ahead and tell my clients that they could overcome anything, any challenge, any limiting belief, and not do it myself. Because I kept saying, I can't write. So then I started to write my first book. It's a really small book because I was like, I'm just putting my toes in the water. So this was basically the process that I take my clients through in order to be able to find their path in whatever journey they are. And by the end of this process, I was like, okay, it's not that bad, but it's still a very small book. It really doesn't help me overcome this fear of writing. So I was invited to participate in a collaboration book, which was a deeper process. And I was really excited to meet all of these amazing women that are global around the world and hear their stories. And that process got me thinking, my God, elevating the voices of others is something that I am passionate about. It's aligned with my mission. And again, I'm an engineer. I figured out a process to be able to do this for people that didn't know or didn't feel comfortable writing. So then I decided to do Extraordinary Latinas Volume 1, which at the time was not even a volume. It was just, let's just bring some of my dear friends together and I would help them elevate their voice. I have two very dear friends who are editors, and they helped me bring the whole process together, and we were able to launch it, and it became a bestseller, which was amazing in itself. So now all of these amazing Latinas not only were sharing their voices, but they suddenly became best-selling authors, which gave them a complete different sense of how to view their lives and how to create wonderful impact. So that was fulfilling, and I went back to doing my coaching, and people kept saying, where's volume 2? Like, we need the next step. So through United Latinas, we decided to launch volume 2 2 years later. We brought together, again, another amazing group of Latinas together. Now we had learned from book 1. We put it in a different format, in a more inviting format for everybody, and we launched it, and it became a bestseller as well. So that's where we decided that we're going to do this moving forward, and we're going to make it a series because at United Latinas, really elevating the voices of others and sharing their stories is our mission. And what a better way to do it than through these books. So that's how this was born. And now we are doing we launched book 3 at the beginning of this year. And it also became a bestseller because all the authors in that book are amazing in sharing their stories, their voices, the impact, their insights, their learnings, and their advice with others. And we are currently actually in the process of creating book 4, which will be launched early next year with the hopes that it'll become a bestseller as well. And we're not even close to even starting to plan book 5, but we already have a list of women that want to be included in volume 5, and then some other partnerships that we're going to build. So it's become suddenly from just an idea to a thing. And I can't be more grateful to spaces like libraries, because by having these spaces of where we can learn all of these stories, to me at least, and to the women that I work with, it shows you by reading all of these stories and every other story in this place, it just helps you bring dreams come true. it helps you expand the possibility of what can be, of the things that you never thought that you could achieve. But by reading the stories of now almost 50 Latinas, I'm like, oh my God, we could literally change the world, from all of us coming together. So that in itself, it's exciting. And when I see young ladies like the ones that we have here today, then the future becomes bright, because it's like, imagine what the power that is embedded in these books and all the ones that are out there, the magic that it can turn. And if they read those stories, then that'll fuel them to be able to bring all of these dreams to life. And I'll close by saying one of the objectives of these books is not only to share those stories, but to make accessible each of these women to anybody that reads them, because all of their contact information is here. So anybody that wants to reach out to them, they can, and they will all answer. And sometimes you don't have that ability to be able to connect with women that have done so many amazing things. They're sometimes so far, we see them so high, but this is a great way to be able to build those connections. And I know that that's part of what's happened in this group as well. And you never know where that can come. So this is sort of now the fuel that moves mountains, and we're here not only to move mountains. I think we're here to move the world, to really leave with something different than what we found. So very excited to be here. And I want to continue by moderating this panel for hearing the stories of all of you, because I've known you, but through your stories, it just built a magical connection of saying, oh my God, like how inspiring, everything that sometimes we take for granted, and we don't realize the impact that it can have on somebody. And you've all impacted my life in such a beautiful way. And for that, I am deeply grateful. So I want to start by hearing from each of you. Why did you say yes when I sent you an email and I said, hey, we're going to start volume 3? And I would love for you to participate, and all of you gracefully said yes. I don't know what we're going to do, but yes. And what happened in that moment in time, and would love to start with you, Lutza.
Okay, awesome. Well, first of all, I wanted to take a moment to thank Amy and Josh thank you so much for putting this together. I live 3 minutes away from here. I absolutely love this library. I have found so many resources, friends that I deeply adore, and resources for my whole family, my daughters, my parents. So thank you so much for providing us with this space. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. And thank you for those of you that came on a school night with children back home. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And yes, so when Ileana sent us that email, right, asking us about the book, to backtrack a little bit, back when volume 1 came up, was that in 2020, Ileana? 2020. So I remember it was the pandemic, right? And I remember reading that book and feeling so deeply inspired. Like I felt so inspired. And I felt seen and understood, and I felt so identified with so many stories to the point that I ended up reaching out to two of the people. So what Ileana said, when you reach out to people, that's true. I did it. And today, those two people are great friends, and they have become mentors, and one of them has been my coach. So, it was really at that moment, I would never thought that I could be part of a future volume. So, I read the second book. I loved it. And then it was like, yes, I want to say yes to it, right? Even though I wasn't sure what was going to happen, just because of the experience I had establishing and creating those connections with the first volume, I knew that it was something I needed to do.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucy. Maria? When I received your email, first of all, thank you, everybody, for allowing us to be in this space. It is a beautiful, beautiful building. The minute I pulled in, I said to my grandson, oh my God, I love this library already. So thank you. When I received the email from Ileana to participate in the book, I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I read volume 2 because a very good friend of mine is one of the authors, and that's how I connected with Ileana. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. It's too much of a commitment. I'm a small business owner. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. So she sent us, the entire process. We are coach. She has an incredible team. And I kept on pushing it because I knew what it was going to happen. I realized as I'm writing the book that my mother was an entrepreneur. Of course, when you're growing up, you don't see your parents as this and that, their mom and their dad. And when light dawned on Marblehead, I'm like, oh my God. And then the tears started flowing. Oh my God, my poor mother, everything she went through. And now I know why I have the spirit of being an entrepreneur. I inherited that from her. And then I'm thinking about my boys from little to, because I mentioned my entire family in my chapter. And he was like, I finally said to Ileana, I feel spent. Emotionally, I'm spent. It was like peeling an onion. And once I got to the heart of it, the chapter was done. And I felt so relieved. And I felt like doing a dance. And when I held my first copy, I'm dancing through the house like a maniac. And I am so appreciative to United Latinas and Ileana for giving me that opportunity. And from that, I have made such a network of relationships with two amazing Latinas, Leonela and Dulce, and all the others portrayed in that book. So if you haven't read it, please do. You will be amazed. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you everyone for having us here. My name is Leonela Gonzalez Fogarty, and I am the last one in this team because I was born in Venezuela. I came to study here in Boston 27 years ago, and I came back in 2015 with the idea to create a business. to help adults speak English with confidence. So I was new in Boston again, and now creating a business, and I've been learning about visibility, marketing, and I didn't know anybody. And the first person that I met was Dulce in one of the networking events, but I thought, okay, you have to network and you have to find your people. And when I met Dulce, we start connecting, and then we start going to different networking events. And then with her, I've been discovering the world of Latinas entrepreneurs. And then we start going to places, and she said, Leo, are you going to do this? And I said, how can I write my story? Who's going to be interested in that? But then I thought, well, I learned English when I was 27 years old. And it's like story that when I came here 27 years ago, it says, no, you cannot learn English that old. I became a linguistic and a bilingual teacher. I have been teaching for more than 23 years, and now I have my own business and create my own methodology to help adults to communicate with others. I said, well, I really have something to say. I don't want to keep seeing adults not embracing the challenge of speaking English or any other language as an opportunity, because here in Massachusetts, I learned that every person counts, and it doesn't matter where you're from. And I was teaching Spanish, even my English wasn't as good at the beginning. And I learned as I immersed in the culture, learn from others. So I said, well, this is the time to do it, Dulce. Are we going to do this? And I told her, okay, we help each other because this is a challenge. And then that's how I ended up writing my story.
I love that. And this is part of the magic of these stories, because it's not only the story, it's the process behind the story, right? The self-doubt, oh my God, it's what happened to me. I'm like, no, I'm an engineer. Like I don't know how to write. But just learning that you're not alone, learning that others have done it, and that you can put yourself out there is part of the magic of writing these books and part of the transformation that happens. So I'm just so thrilled that all of you said yes to writing the books. So with that, transformation happened. Because again, it's not only about sharing the intimate, very intimate, because we're putting our hearts, like you talked about it, Maria, like we're all pouring our hearts here, sharing our stories. I had to vet it, like with my family. Can I say your name? Can I say this? Because you're right, like your starts, it's such a deep reflection moment of those ups, of those downs. It's your heart on a sleeve. What has happened since? Like what from before to now? Because now it's been a little over 6 months that we published this book. Has it shifted? Has it changed? Has it not? It's like what came out of it?
So I am a psychotherapist, right? And something that and I graduated from undergrad almost 20 years ago. I think things have changed a little bit. But something that I've learned was no self-disclosure. Never. You don't do that. You don't talk about yourself. It's all about your clients. It's all about the people you work with, right? So writing a whole chapter about me, or, being a guest at a podcast or doing so many of the things I've done for my small business. I also have a private practice, and I do consulting, and so that part for me has been, it was very uncomfortable at the beginning. I feel that this was something that helped me during that process. Yeah, I feel that's one of the things that that was definitely a big part of it. The part of instead of this or that, I can do this and that, right? And I do think that it has helped me to connect with people, that it can be done in a professional way, and that it shows our humanity, right? It shows that part of us that otherwise would be, it would be different or challenging to connect with people in other ways. And I think it's still processing, it's relatively recent, so I feel that I'm still processing everything. And yeah, one thing that I forget is I forget to tell people that I am part of a book. So the other day, Maria and I were getting ready for a conference, and this lady, she introduces herself, she shows her book, and I was like, wait a minute, I can say that too, right? So I feel that it's something that I have to embrace and remember, and that ownership, I haven't taken complete ownership of that yet. So
I love it, and I especially I wrote down what you said. It's not this or that. It's not I can only do this path and that's it. Like we life is so beautiful and so complex, and in that, so beautiful in that complexity, and being able to go through this and give ourselves these opportunities, then it just expands exponentially. So I love that. Maria.
The day that Ileana texted all of us and said the book has become a bestseller, I even doing a dance in my office. My office is on the second floor of my house, and my next door neighbor is an elderly couple, and he's staring at the window, and I'm doing all kinds of dance. And then I look at him, he went like this, and I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna think that there's something wrong with me. But then I called my sister, my oldest sister, and I told her about the book, and I said, don't buy it. I'm going to send it to you as a gift. She couldn't wait. She bought it. She called me 2 days later crying. She says, you did listen to Mom all those years. You, even though you pretended you didn't, you listened to Mom. And she says she was so touched that I dedicated that chapter to my mom. All my sisters were crying, and then my grandson, who's back here, Elijah, he read the chapter and he looked at me and he goes, I am so proud of you. I didn't know you have accomplished all this. Why didn't you tell me about this? And I'm like, yes, mijo, let me make you lunch and let me tell you all my accomplishments. Then you don't talk like that to your family. So he put a spring in my step. He have opened doors. I've been invited to be keynote speakers. I've been invited to be part of, conference. I've been invited to podcasts, and I have gotten new clients because of that chapter. So again, thank you, Ileana and United Latinas. And again, I have incredible friendships that they're more than friends, they're family.
I love that because you're right. I think all of us accomplished so many things, but then we move forward and nobody knows, right? So putting it on paper and other people reading about it suddenly just becomes, again, an inspiration not only for others, but for ourselves as well. Like, oh my God, like, that's really good. Like, I can do all of these things, right? So those moments when we're down, it's a great reminder of, okay, maybe I'm not as bad as I think I am, right? And you go back and you're like, oh yeah, like I'm pretty good. So thank you, Leonela.
In my case, I've been learning to embrace different identities because I came here 27 years ago and I was just Venezuelan. Then I fell in love with Boston because Boston really helped me to become a better person and discover a new world. So I say that I am Venezuelan Bostonian. Now, this last time that I came back here again in 2015, they say, you are a Latina now. So, okay, and now I am a Latina. So it's been and now I am a business owner, an entrepreneur, and I am an author. So it's like, how do I process all these identities? And I say, yes, I am all of those. And when the editor of the chapter replied to me and say, wow, I love your story. I never thought that I could communicate with my parents or great-grandparents that have another language, and your story invite all of us, no matter what is the second language, to embrace the opportunity to reach out and talk to others. When she said that, I was promoting English and Spanish like Latinos because it's my heritage. However, she connected as having parents and great-grandparents from Germany. For me, it was a reinforcement that we're all humans. Language is just an opportunity to reconnect who we already are, and there is no age, there is nothing in order to really overcome that fear that sometimes we have as adults and really find a way. So the book definitely helped me in that sense to embrace more identities that I have, and I am still shy. It is a process, and I feel honored that I've been sharing this path with United Latinas and Dulce and Maria, because it's like anything in life. As we practice, we get better. I was a triathlete before I came here, it is by practicing. And I am a marathoner too. So whenever you just get into something, if you practice, you get better at. Now I am a Latina author, ready to keep sharing my story and my business because I can help others to speak any second language with more power.
I love that, and especially that part of embracing recognizing all of our identities and all of who we are, because sometimes we feel like it's very like just two-dimensional, right? We're just our title, whatever it is, our 9-to-5 job, but we're really so much richer in what we bring to this life, to the world, to others. And going through this process is a way to embrace it so that we can not only honor our lives, but honor those that came before us and pave the ground to honor the ones that are coming after us. right? So I love what you're saying. And then being able to create those, a way for others to see the world in a way that we didn't even realize, right? Like what Laura, who's our editor, or one of our editors, sharing her story, because I remember that moment. She texted me and she was like, "Oh my God!" Like I just as a parenthesis, Laura is not a Latina, so I have to say she's an amazing editor. She's not a Latina. So she was very concerned when I told her that I wanted her to edit these books, because she was like, "Oh my God, but how am I going to edit some books about the stories of women that, they're not Latinas?" And I'm like, "But you're an editor. Your job is not to be a Latina. Your job is to help us share our stories, especially of those of us that have no idea how to write." And she loves being a part of this project, because it's through our stories that actually she's learning to see the world through through different eyes, and through connect even her own world and the possibility of what she can do. So I remember that moment because she was so excited about that as well. And other things have happened since then. Oh. Awesome. Okay. So I don't want to spoil it. Do we want to say like a little bit of your story? Like, let's do one thing. Like, what was the key highlight of each of your chapters? Let's do that, and then we'll go into the future of what's next. Let's now start the other way around. Leonela, that puts you on the spot.
Raise your hand if you have always wanted to speak Spanish, French, any second language, and you cannot speak yet. Raise your hand if you think, "Oh no, this is impossible, this is a challenge, I'm too old," or "No, I don't want it." Well, if you read my chapter, you will see. Learning a second language is a beautiful challenge. We can transform in an opportunity that we have no idea. The main important thing is connect that challenge with a desire, with something that you really want. When I came here, I was in Venezuela. I'm an educator. And I don't know if some of you remember the Y2K. So I was 27 years old, educator in Venezuela. We had no computers at that time. We only heard the year 2000 is coming, the computers are going to explode. And I thought, I am a teacher, no English, no idea about computers. I'm going to be out of the world. And I wanted to be prepared to help my students to be better, to connect with the world. So that passion that I have always have about teaching told me, yes, you're going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know English. And that is transform the opportunity to learn a second language in an opportunity. Because not only I learned English, I became a linguistic. I did a bilingual program. After that, I taught in international school. I've been teaching in different places. And now I am a business owner, and I am helping others learning about that. And my name is Leonela Gonzalez Fogarty, because I met the love of my life. Is an American, and now I have a fully immersion experience that I keep learning more and more. So, and I keep learning now more about cultures. So it is is unlimitless what you can get when you transform the challenge of learning a second language and an opportunity. So reach the chapter.
Padia. To me, my aha moment that I did, I'm sorry. To me, the aha moment that, made me realize that I did the right thing by writing that chapter, it was, again, I'm not one to sit there and enjoy everything that I have accomplished. To me, it's a race. Okay, what's next, and what's next, and what's next. For 30 years of my life, I was a civil servant, and I decided to retire and started my business. And that aha moment came when I took my grandkids to an event, and they're talking about me, and I'm looking around like they're talking about a third person, and they're looking at some of the things that were written about me, and they were like, Bima. They had a new look on their eyes for their grandmother, and to me that meant the world. No awards, no monetary compensation, to have that respect in their eyes for their grandmother was everything I have hoped for, and I love that. So yeah, that was the moment that I realized I did the right thing by putting my story into those pages of my chapter. And the fact that I dedicated to, my kids and my mom. In Austin, Leadership.
Yes, so something that I've always believed in, but I feel that it's been confirmed over and over through my work, is how unique we all are, and how so many of us cannot see that, right? It's easier for other people to see it, and it's not so easy for us. So I do believe that the world could be different if we could see that part of ourselves, if we could really take ownership of that, which I call magic, because I feel it's a magical essence and something that no matter how hard anybody tries, it's yours, and nobody will have what you have. So that was my main message. It's something that I truly believe in when it comes to other people. When it comes to myself, it's a work in progress. I try to work on it and believe it a little bit more. And being part of this amazing group of women has helped me, right? Because I'm like, oh my goodness, Leonela and Maria and Ileana are wonderful as the other authors. So that has been part of my process. But yeah, my invitation is to really embrace that magic that you have. I dedicated my chapter to my two daughters who are here. And they are my biggest teachers, right? I see their magic. It's so easy for me to see it, so they inspire me to also see it in myself and see it in other people.
That is amazing. And it's wonderful that they'll have that in the future when they read the story again. And all of, the people that are surround us to be able to connect with us in that way. And I think that's also part of the magic of this book. So you all talk about this book, and I went through it myself, right, as a challenge. It's something that we're asked to do, and suddenly it's like, no, I can't. Or, I don't know how, or how am I going to put myself out there? And that was a process of all of these authors. Like when we started on this journey, each one of them called me like, really? Like, why me? Like, how are we going to do this? And I'm like, trust me, we're going to be able to do it together. It's, it's a science. At least to me, it's a science. But it was a challenge. So, and we're always looking for the next challenge to overcome. So what's the next challenge? We're in September. We're heading into the last part of the year. A year that has been very challenging for many. And a lot of things that we've overcome, but 2025 is always like an open door, or will be an open door to do new things. So what would you think is you have an idea of what's your next bold move after you've overcome this challenge? Anybody want to start? I think
my biggest challenge is to help the state of Massachusetts to reach the gap of the adults English language programs. I started this business with my family. I don't know if any person here is familiar with business, but they say you start with family, friends, and then the rest of the world. And this year, I've been reaching out to different industries in Massachusetts that I can contribute to the training of the people that need to speak English with confidence. So that's my challenge. It's big because I'm learning to be a business owner. So I wear the hat of what's your offer, what's the program. I don't want to sacrifice the effectiveness, the quality of my program, because it's effective. I have seen it. People change their approach even in 1 hour, because it's about embracing the challenge with who you already are. And all of us are already an amazing person, going back to the uniqueness. So that's my challenge. Finding the way. And how can you help me? If you know, my two industries are restaurants that have managers that need to navigate. I'm starting with that. Or any other company that really wants to invest in their employees, that they want to embrace multiple languages. I think that we have a beautiful opportunity in Massachusetts and New England to include all of us that bring different languages to our workplaces and to learn from one another. And we can do it. I was trained in Framingham Public Schools as a Spanish teacher to do it. So If you know any company that really want to invest in their employees and embrace multiple languages and cultures, call me. Follow me. And if you need tips to learn Spanish as a second language or any second language, reach out to me. I will be more than happy to share my tips with you.
These ladies that are sitting on this table, they know that I'm a very strong business advocate, especially small business, especially those owned by people of color and women. And I could be so strong-willed about it that I become a thorn on the side of some of these agencies. My goal for next year is to get that message out there. You have a business idea, you're a woman, you're a person of color, and you want to have a successful business. I am the person to walk you through the system, especially if English is not your first language. There's a lot of, Latinos, business owners that miss opportunities to make money selling to the state or to the federal government. I have been able to take all that language and translate it in a way that you get it. You'll get exactly what you need to do to get to that level of success. So next year, my goal is to at least reach 500 small businesses to get them across that line. I might die in the process, but I'm not a quitter. I am not a quitter. That's right. That's right. Thank you.
I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I feel that my biggest challenge is more personal than, business related. So recently I've heard something very interesting, and it was a person saying that we were taught how to pray wrong, right? That we pray asking for what we want, what we don't have, and that we should pray for all our limiting beliefs to go away, because everything that we want is possible. So I thought that was beautiful, and I do think that my biggest challenge is to have more confidence in myself and in my business and in what I do. Luckily, I have a beautiful support system, my family, amazing friends that believe in me and in what I do, but I do think that's my biggest challenge. So something that I'm continuously working on.
Awesome. Well, this has been amazing. It just continues to show the power of community, the power of supporting each other, and especially as a small business owner, it's a very... I remember when I moved out of corporate, that's what everybody told, right? It's a very long journey. And although I'm an introvert, I'm like, but I don't like to do things on my own. So this is just comes to show that we don't have to do things on our own. We drive our own businesses, but that doesn't mean that we have to be alone in that driver's seat. We can bring each other along. Sometimes it's in my car, sometimes it's in your car, sometimes we bring a bus together, whatever it is, but the journey is together, and this is just one more of those spaces and places where we come together. And we are all here in, this New England state, but all of the authors of these books run the gamut of the U.S. from California all the way to Florida. and some of them are in Mexico and in a couple of other places in Latin America. And book 4 actually has 2 authors in Europe. And so we're definitely, the boundaries are non-existent anymore, and the impact that we create and the bonding that we're going to come together is a news. So thank you so much for being here with us. And I don't know if there's any questions that you'd like to have about this journey. Yeah.
Give her the microphone, Eliza.
Which one of you were the first one to do it?
Do it what? Do what, sis? We do what?
To be a therapist.
Oh, that's that you. Yeah.
So, thank you, Elena. Elena always has questions. Always. So I am the only one that is a therapist. They do different things, but we all wrote the book. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Beautiful.
Don't be shy, you can ask any question.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. This was a great evening. I'm so happy I got to be here to listen to all of your stories, and I love the book. I'm looking forward to the next one. I just wanted to ask, how can those of us not in the Latinx community help continue to change the world together?
So that's a great question. And I think one of the things that we've learned, or at least I personally have learned through all of this process, is a part of community, right? It's coming together to being able to support and elevate our voices, especially women. It doesn't have to be Latinas. We don't put ourselves out there. I think it's very hard for people to put themselves out there. And there's other initiatives that we have that, Extraordinary Latinas is for Latinas, but today's Inspired Leader has a lot of stories of leaders from around the world that not necessarily are Latinos. We have the International Women of Color, the International Women Who Boss Up series. There's like all these other initiatives that are happening out there that can bring together. And then there's other organizations like ours. There are sisters, we call sisters organizations, where people can find sort of that space of collaboration, of partnership, of how can I bring this idea that I have into life without feeling the uncertainty and the, oh my God, am I going to do something that's going to be so overwhelming that I can't? So I think it's just reaching out to people, and somebody always knows somebody that can then help us become part of that community and that system. I firmly believe that there is no competition in any of us, and that's why I build all of these connections, because there's so much work that needs to be done that up until now, and I have made the numbers, like if all of us come together, there's even more work that needs to be done than the organizations and the groups and the people that are doing the work. So until we get there, I think it's just coming together to be able to support each other. So I hope that.
Could I add something? I will also invite you to think about what you like and how can you connect with the group doing something. For example, when I came here, I have been always, I have always liked sports. And at that time, there were a lot of bike rides from Boston to New York because AIDS was a problem. And there were a lot of causes for that. That was new for me. So I love to do sports. So I joined this. And then for me, it was an opportunity to get to know people doing things that were new for me because I didn't know about AIDS and then the volunteer idea. So I invite you to think about, oh, what do I like that maybe I can join any group? And the other thing is go to restaurants around Massachusetts. There are a lot of them. And they say, hey, do you speak Spanish? Because Latinos, you get Venezuelans, you have here for, 3 nationalities, So now Massachusetts, New England has a lot of us. So go to a restaurant, try something, ask any of us or anywhere there, tell me more about your culture because people will also connect with you. Tell me you more about your culture. I think that's something you can do.
And I'm going to add something because I want to highlight, if anybody knows Miss Amy, she's extremely welcoming. And, one of the things that I've always felt at the library is being a part of a community. Please don't underestimate the huge work that you do every day, welcoming all those families that don't speak the language, that might not completely know what they're doing, but I feel that you already do so much, so I really want to highlight that.
And just to say a few words, to me, I love your question, and I love what Ileana said about collaborating. Every time I do a workshop, every time I end one of my presentations, I always remind everybody in the room, let's collaborate and not compete. When you collaborate as a group, you'll be amazed what can be accomplished.
So, sorry, I'm about to leave, and I just want to congratulate all of you, for the book. And then I want to congratulate all the mothers too, because I'm, since behind the scenes. So we see how much work you guys do. And then one of the questions, I get that too, because me and my wife, and I have a business too, and I work in another job, and then she's the same thing. And then so people ask, how can you do all that? I don't have an answer. And I know you guys have to go, and it's amazing the work you've been doing and all that. And then, somehow we make work, and then we find time, and we do, to move forward. And then, especially for the little ones, and then it's amazing the work no words to say. And then I just want to say, congratulations. And then I can see it's amazing how the next book is going to be, and then be part of it. Congratulations to all the mothers on the room too, because all the schedule you guys have, can't say it.
Thank you.
It does take a village.
It does take it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Questions on this side of the room? I see where the shy people fly. You can ask the questions in Spanish. We have plenty of translators.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ade, and thanks to Dulce and Maria for the invitation here tonight. And I'm really grateful to be part of the conversation. So, is it Eliana, or how do I pronounce your name?
Leonela.
Leonela. Okay. I will be taking you up on that offer to improve my Spanish speaking skills because I've been doing Duolingo for 2 years and
No,
hablo
no,
poco, so
te
it's
ayuda.
not going well.
Muy bien.
I need to improve my skills. But I want to say congratulations to all of you. And I want to add to the question that was asked before in terms of how we encourage one another in this work to create a better society. I know that I always tell people that, language is not a measure of intelligence. It's a tool for communication. And so I think that sometimes people hear an accent, hear a different language, and depending on the language, they might deduct some points from your IQ. But the person who speaks multiple languages is actually the person who's smarter because you can communicate in different languages. So I missed a little bit of the beginning of the conversation, but I wanted to ask you, how do you encourage us to take pride in learning multiple languages, especially here in the U.S.?
No,
I will start with what you like and what are you good at. When I came here, I was passionate about teaching. I wanted to learn about computers because I want to be a better teacher. So it is a process, and it's embracing already who you are and what are you capable of that you can bring to the table, and start doing something that you are very good at. And with that, whatever you are, you start finding people that value multiple cultures. I was blessed that I went to Framingham, and I have no idea, Framingham as a town, this was 27 years ago. I was shocked that Framingham was teaching Portuguese English and Spanish English in a public school, where I was coming from Venezuela and didn't have the resources to pay for my own English program. So English training. So I don't know what's your experience. We can talk about it. I can guide you definitely. What has helped me the most is to embrace who I am and what do I bring to whatever I am, and also be mindful that whatever is interfering as a barrier, because people talk about my accent. I was ashamed about my accent at the beginning because I grew up in Venezuela and people used to make fun of us, in high school. So I was ashamed about my accent. However, it's been a process. And one time I was teaching in an international school in Venezuela, and I had an Irish friend. And I thought, oh my God, I am so ashamed about my accent, but my Irish friend stood up, in an auditorium talking to my students, and he was so confident. And then when you go to Europe, there are different accents, and people don't feel bad about their accents. I know there is there are some barriers here in the United States. If we embrace what is enabling us to feel about the accent, it will help us. Everything is an opportunity. So I have been through my years, to overcome my accent. Then I went to Tufts University, my last job, and it was the first university that hired me even because of my accent. Because in all the language programs, they say, no, you have to be native. And you know what I did? What I love. I was able to put together the volunteer program to connect our Chinese students to the community. So think about what's your strength, what can you bring to the organization that you are, and call me so I can help you. What's been my experience?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Luise. Thank you.
Sorry, I just wanted to say something real quick. So I just wanted to say that even though I'm just in the audience, and it's definitely an honor to be in front of all of you right now, as somebody that started my own business soon, it's definitely a right step in the direction, especially if you're listening to some of the most successful people, in front of me right now that I've ever seen, But I just remember when my Mima, she had written her portion in the book, and she was so proud, and she was more so looking at how us grandkids would react to it. And I remember we were all supportive, and I was just so excited for her because, she never had that kind of opportunity before. And it was just very exciting, because I know my Mima's in the right direction, It's good to listen to somebody like that. And as somebody that's really helping me out in this business, sorry, I've never really spoken in front of people like this. I appreciate it. But it's very exciting, and I'm excited that she gets to be here today. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh, I love my grandson.
And Elijah has a photography business for those of you looking for a photographer.
He's good. Really good.
Well, I can tell you that you have a community that will support you, because that's what we do. I mean, we come together as Latinas because that's what brings us together, but that doesn't mean that we don't support all of us. So whatever you need, you have 50-something authors here plus 4,000 others in our community.
Thank you.
And everybody, because that's what we do. That's why we're here together. So
thank you so much.
And my husband's a photographer, so let's chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
She's going to take a picture.
Oh, yes.